Meanwhile, in the pod cave.
And welcome back to another edition of the Podmen. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron.
And I'm Absolute Alex.
All right.
How come Alex goes last now?
I don't know.
It used to be a PMR went last, right?
Yeah.
It used to be.
Well, we'll switch it. We'll switch it back, you know. We're changing up things, you know.
Switch it around. That's fine. I think, there was a while when Alex wasn't as committed to the podcast. I mean, he wouldn't, repost anything. He just wouldn't show up sometimes.
You know what? We're marketing now. We're marketing.
Good.
You know?
Good.
I feel the podcast is about to blow up, and I want to be there for it. I want to be the linchpin in our success.
Well,
When you say blow up, what do you mean?
Almost reaching 150 episodes, Alex. So it's
Look
about
at that,
time.
Brad.
Yeah.
He wants to jump in at the third floor.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to launch our success so we could one day write a documentary about how we all fell apart, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, like a making of the bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to start that role. We got to get somewhere. We got to find the thing that launched us into stardom.
Yeah. Inside the pod cave. The true story.
Inside.
Oh, nice. We even
wow.
got the name. We just don't have the success.
Yeah. We could have a demise really easily. I mean, that would.
That's the only thing we're missing.
Yeah, that would be the easy part. It's just the
we
success.
we usually do every other year. So
Yeah, it only takes about 6 months.
Yeah.
Guys, it only takes about 6 months. We'll find our demise eventually. Don't worry. We're going to get one episode out a week.
Well, in addition to that, I will say I'll announce it here, although I'm not sure if it will be the first episode on it. But I've signed up with a new hosting person. So we hopefully will soon be part of the Podbean family.
The Podbean. So what is the Podbean? What did the Podbean do for us?
Well, they will host all of our content. I got to figure out how to get all our episodes moved over there, away from SoundCloud, who we enjoyed for many years.
We'll be the flagship podcast of Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. But no, they have a lot of TV and film review type stuff, and they seem very, very friendly to our style of podcast. So I think they'll do good for us.
Okay.
So did we get some sort of signing bonus, or
no? We haven't gotten that yet. But again, I've got to. You can download the Podbean app and access all of our almost 150 episodes from there, but they still aren't hosting it yet. So I got to figure out how to get it moved over to hosting and everything. But we'll get there. So as soon as that happens,
here comes all the sponsorship.
Yeah, between that and Alex's commitment, I think we're going to be doing really well.
Wow,
we're rolling, baby. We're going to be rolling.
And we talked about it in the green room. Alex's commitment is to actually acknowledge that he's on this podcast on his Instagram feed.
Hey, it's only taken 5 years for me to not be ashamed of this. So you know what?
Wow.
Yeah. It's disappointing, Alex, when your mother will like one of my posts on the Podmen on Instagram, but you won't.
Hey man, I'm saving my own head. But you know what? I'm going to be a contributing member of this little family we've got going here.
If it's good enough for the office ladies, it's good enough for you to be podcasting. So
call me Dom Toretto, baby, because I'm all about family, you know?
Ouch. Oh, God.
On that note, let's hit the news. All right, in news, as has become kind of the norm, we've got trailers, casting. Trailer-wise, I guess the only really exciting thing, if we can call it exciting, is a trailer for the Masters of the Universe.
Oh, God.
What?
I'm sorry, Brian. I know you're a Masters of the Universe fan, but other than the figures look cool, I've never was into anything else. Always like the figures. Figures look cool. But
did you watch the trailer?
Did you hear
the picture of it?
Oh, jeez. You didn't even listen to the music?
I thought the trailer actually looked pretty good, and I don't care anything about He-Man. I have no emotional attachment. Literally none.
Well, it looks.
He-Man was always. All I know is that one meme of him singing, and that's it. And that's all I've ever known, and that's all I probably will ever know.
Probably.
But I'd say it looks pretty good. Yeah.
It's got a pretty deep mythos. So
yeah, and it looks like it has a pretty stacked voice cast from the looks of it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mark Hamill as Skeletor. That's a big win.
Yeah.
Now, did you say this is going to be Kevin Smith vehicle?
Yeah, this is the one that Kevin Smith is producing. They're doing a second cartoon that's going to be CGI that's kind of skews younger. And then there's the movie that's been in development, but they lost Noah Ciento. Like, he dropped out when he got the part in Black Adam as Atom Smasher. So the movie we're not sure about, but we're definitely getting 2 series out of it.
Yeah, Kevin Smith when is Orko talking to Battlecat for like 30 minutes about He-Man riding his back or something like that. It's weird. A lot of talky in it, no action whatsoever.
Oh God.
But yeah, do you guys? So I can give you. Maybe we save it for another podcast, but I can get when we're closer to the actual debut of the series. But I can kind of give you like a Masters of the Universe 101 for all our listeners and you, Alex.
Yeah.
101.
Whether you signed up for the class or not, the professor is in.
Whether you want it or not.
It's the college gen ed over here of He-Man, Masters of the Universe 101.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Gotta have that.
So let me interrupt for just a moment. Was there a He-Man cartoon back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Is that a serious question?
How do I know that?
Yes.
How do I know that and you don't?
Where do you think the meme came from?
Yeah, where do you think any of this shit came from? No, He-Man was just toys.
I thought it was just toys. That's what it was made for.
I want to do my dissertation, but I'll save it for another time. It's pretty interesting. So.
All right, but yes, it was a cartoon back in the whatever it was, late 80s, maybe.
Yeah, it went for like I think it went for like 80 some odd episodes.
It had spinoff, She-Ra.
Yep.
Yeah,
we had a movie in the 80s.
But which came first? Is it a G.I. Joe thing where
was it the cartoon or
G.I.
the
Joe?
Right.
Right, the cartoon.
The toy came first. So
okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
The toy came first.
Right.
So I'm going to have to give you the dissertation. The
Thank
toy
you,
came first.
Man, Ron.
So
I'm sorry.
Mattel.
Podman Ron promised I would be out of here by 11:05. 11:05. Just keep that in mind before you give your Go ahead, Professor.
Just a quick. This is the origin. Mattel had the license, or was trying to get the license for Conan the Barbarian, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. They went into production, started making toys for the movie, and then found out it was going to be rated R. And then they were like, "Oh fuck, we can't make a toy line for 6-year-olds based on an R-rated film." So they were going to pay a big chunk of money for the license, and they backed out. But they'd gone into pre-production on all these figures and designs and everything, so they decided to go forward with it and create their own canon around the characters. And the first thing they did was they just put comics in the figures to try and flesh out the universe, so kids because they realized they needed a tie-in property like G.I. Joe did. They needed that sort because they didn't have a film. And back then, the only time you made a toy was when there was a film tie-in. So they put the comic and He-Man came out before G.I. Joe. So they put the comic in to kind of flesh out the universe, to kind of give the characters context. And after that, they after the G.I. Joe stuff started, that's when they started making the cartoon. So
there
all
you
right.
go. All right. That's more of the syllabus than the class. That's just a little taste.
That's the syllabus, just a taste.
All right. Well, maybe next episode, or as we get closer to the Netflix release. What was the date of that Netflix premiere?
I think it's July 23rd.
Okay. All right. So we got a month for you to work up the class.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. In casting news, we have a couple of things that maybe people care about, maybe they don't. Keanu Reeves is BRZKR.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? What is that?
All right.
Something. It's like a pet project of his or something, right?
All right, here's Brian's second dissertation of the
Okay.
So Berserker is Keanu Reeves is writing a comic, and Ron Garney's doing the art.
God,
love
you
Ron
know
that's
Garney.
gonna be some exciting dialogue in that.
I
comic.
do like Ron Garney, but when these celebrities think they can write a comic book, it's just garbage. I mean, it really is. Leave that up to
non-celebrities and nobodies.
Well,
people who write comics.
Mm-hmm.
Not
There's
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, so it's Ron Garney and Matt Kint, who's written some stuff for DC and Marvel. He's like the ghostwriter of it. So I'm sure it's a situation where Keanu came up with the concept, Matt Kint's writing it, Ron Garney's doing the art. So far, we've only had one issue, and they're already making a fucking movie.
Yeah,
So
that was his thing all along.
That's the
what
power
he's
of
just
Keanu.
doing. Yeah.
So-
I mean,
similar to what we just said with Masters of the Universe. And here's the thing, the Berserker comic, that thing was talked about for over a year. Over a year they talked about this thing, and the first issue came out like 2 months ago, and we still haven't got the second issue.
of course,
So-
you probably never will. Maybe you may get the second issue when the movie comes out.
And essentially, he's immortal. He's like 80,000 years old.
Of
He's
course
like a
he is.
combination of Wolverine and Vandal Savage.
Ugh.
And so like he's like a weapon of mass destruction. That if there's like an opposing military force, they don't send an army in; they just drop him in there, and he murders everybody.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you're gonna do big, go big all the way. You know, be the most powerful thing.
yeah,
You know, if you're the celebrity making the comic book, you know, you're going to be the Wolverine Superman combo.
yeah.
You know,
All right.
So-
No love for Berserker from Podman Ron.
no, I'm just nah.
Yeah.
It just bothers. I mean, it maybe it'll be the greatest thing ever. It just bothers me that like this shit happens. It's like same thing that's happening with that Naomi TV show on CW from Brian Michael Bendis. He hasn't even finished the first fucking story arc. The book got canceled.
Yeah.
The book got canceled. Now we're having to read the rest of this shit in Justice League because he's wedged her into Justice League. So first she had her own book. They didn't finish the story. Then she went to the Teen Titans because he was writing it. Then it went to now she's in the Justice League, so he can finish this fucking narrative that it's basically Starfire. I mean, it's basically Starfire to begin with, and now it's going to be a TV show, and it's like, can you guys not see? It's just self promotion. It's just self aggrandizing.
Yeah.
It's what we complain about all the time to like the 10th degree, because now it's like he went and sold this to the CW saying, hey, it's a hot new character that's a member of the Justice League, and it's Brian Michael Bendis, and now they've got this show that it's stupid.
I don't really care too much of the character of Naomi, but I will say I actually have been enjoying Justice League so far. I actually don't mind his run.
Alex, you're breaking up, buddy.
Yeah, you broke up there. You said that you enjoyed it?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of enjoying Naomi in the Justice League at the moment.
Wow.
Now, Brian Michael Bendis has a thing to draw things out too long, and his characters get a little too quirky for my taste. But the Justice League book so far is pretty good. Of course, I'm biased because Oliver Queen and Dinah Lancer on it, Black Canary and Green Arrow. But I actually think it's pretty solid, and I actually kind of like Naomi's story so far. Her other shit is trash. But
would you rather read this Naomi stuff, right, or have them versus Brainiac, or have them versus the Injustice Gang, or have the Justice League versus the Hyper Clan again, or like have them facing a established threat? They have a huge rogues gallery.
I agree.
Why do we need to know about Naomi?
I agree, but I do think we're building, like, because of Future State and everything like that. Not to spoil those books for anyone who's read it, but we did introduce like I think it's the Hyper Clan and those in the Justice League books there, and I think that's kind of what they're still going for. But honestly, I like having new villains in the Justice League. We get a lot of the old stuff repeated. I think that was probably the biggest weakness of Scott Snyder's whole arc on that thing, was it did feel a little bit like it's cool, but it's really complicated and a lot. And Brian Michael Bendis so far is pushing a complex story, but so streamlined and kind of new and refreshing that I'm not too mad about it. And I actually kind of like the villain. So I'm going to go on a limb and say I kind of do prefer this at the moment. We need new villains, and to have good ones is rare nowadays because of how hard it is to even pitch those characters.
But how do we even know this villain's good yet? I mean, how many lines of dialogue has he had in essentially like 16 issues crossing over everything?
True.
He had like 3 lines of dialogue, and this is their big bad villain that's been brewing since Naomi #1.
And we'll see how it pays off. But right now, I like where it's going. I like Black Adam on the Justice League too, which I didn't think I'd be a fan of. But it's actually not a bad idea, and I can see where DC probably was like, this has potential to build something.
I think the other thing that sours me on it is we were promised some groundbreaking legacy for, well, you know, who is she? Who are her parents? This groundbreaking lineage, and it's nothing. Like, she's from an alternate universe. That's it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll see how the show does it, because Naomi is kind of, I don't know, kind of fallen to the wayside as a character, and I hope the book kind of reestablishes her as someone to mess with in the DC universe. But I'm invested. I'm not sold, but I'm invested so far in the book. And I'm not excited for the TV show, but I'll watch the first episode. You know, CW usually, especially in this new style with Superman and Lois, which I just caught up on, and it's incredible. If they go down that route and they don't do like the Flash and Supergirl type shit, I think this would be pretty good. There's a lot to work with. There's a lot of potential. There's not much to write. So.
Alex, you're breaking up again.
Yeah. But we heard you when you called the Flash shit. I mean, that's groundbreaking right there, my friend.
I mean, the Flash is pretty booty. The Flash is pretty bad. I tuned in for one episode this week, and it was god awful to the max. Really bad.
That's sad to hear, and we'd certainly love to hear more about Naomi. But that's another class. We do have more casting. Just really quick, Jamila Jamel. Both of them are from the Good Place, I think. She's going to be Titania on She-Hulk. So that is rounding up to be an interesting thing. Note that I wrote, I had a pitch about She-Hulk TV show a long time ago, but we'll see if they take my advice on that. And then probably the big one is, help me off with this name, Tenoch Huerta is going to be Namor, the Submariner or Submariner. We'll finally find out how to pronounce his subtitle.
Mariner.
And
we always knew.
Not all of us. There was always a great geek debate of where it was Mariner. Magneto. I mean, come on.
Should be the Submariner. I mean, come on, the submarine.
Yeah,
that'd be the Submariner.
But
totally makes
someone
sense.
that is a nautical or a nautical term is a mariner, not a marine. So she's a submariner. He's not named after.
But he lives
submarine.
underwater. like a submarine. I mean, this
like
debate,
a submarine.
Yeah, I mean, this debate is hot. All right. So anyway, we got him coming up in Black Panther 2, Return to Wakanda versus Doctor Doom.
It's not the Seattle Mariners.
Is it?
It's the Seattle Mariners.
Do we know that for a fact?
Like the sporting events. But I'm sure you could tune into one long enough to hear the name of the team.
So what has this guy been in? And does he look like Namor? Alex showed me a quick picture of him. He looked all right. I don't, it wouldn't have been my first choice. But,
yeah, I don't think he's been anything that we would have seen. I think he's been in a lot of Mexico-produced films and stuff like that.
He's been in Narcos, which is a pretty solid big show. But other than that, pretty much a no-name. But I'm kind of glad Marvel's going back to that.
Yeah,
he looks He looks like royalty. I mean, you put him in a cool costume, he'll look like royalty. Yeah, he's got that kind of aesthetic to him.
I agree with you on that. I'm kind of glad too. They kind of went outside and got someone who's been acting and stuff, but is not like a household name or anything. So that is a good thing.
And Keanu Reeves was obviously busy writing a comic books, but his name was thrown out there to be the submariner for a while, right?
I'm glad that did not happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that didn't happen too.
Apparently, they're talking about the DC Universe. There's like rumors that he could be playing two DC characters. Like Constantine, he's already played, and they've teased doing a second Constantine movie. But they're also acting like he might be another character in the DC Universe. It was something I read earlier today. So there's rumblings.
Why?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I really don't know who he could play. I mean, I'm sure anybody, but
Superman.
Oh God. Please don't say that. Don't breathe that into fruition.
Yeah, let's not revise that. All right, let's get going here because I'm assuming everybody has watched Loki, right? So we want to get to Loki eventually.
Yes, but there is one big news story that we're skimming over.
Yeah, I intentionally, but go ahead.
Oh, man, why?
We're running low on time.
I understand.
We spent 15 minutes talking about Naomi. That's why.
That's true.
All right, real quick here. Another news. We have Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rotterdam anime.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, no one cares. Kingpin 2. Kingpin 2 by the Farrelly brothers. Maybe a mistake, but okay.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. When was the first Kingpin?
When was it?
Like 2002, 3. Something like that.
So why do we need a second Kingpin?
We don't. The first one was perfect. The first one was perfect. We don't need a second one.
No, we really don't. I mean, there's some movies you don't really need a second one for it. Kingpin would be one of them.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings would be another one. But we're getting more than that.
Ugh. The Lord of the Rings, the film, it's animated and it's going to have a theatrical release. And it's the War of Rohirrim, which is basically Rohan, the Horse Lords. They had a war like in the Second Age with like the Hill people, and Saruman, who was Saruman the White, who was Christopher Lee in the in Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah, you need to talk to us and who they played in the movies. You act like we know the books, Brian.
Well, really? He kind of stoked the fire between, like, and kind of behind the scenes made the war happen between Rohan and the Hill people. Well, essentially, and they were called the Dundalings, but essentially, the Helm's Deep, which is the big battle at the end of the second film, where Gandalf comes riding over the ridge. That's Helm's Deep. It's named after like the hero Helm Hammerhand. And so he was like the hero of that battle or of that war. He was the king of Rohan. So that's what this movie's going to be about. And it's going to be animated and released in theaters. And I'm very excited.
Oh,
so there you go.
All right.
For our listeners that don't know what the hell this is, that's what this is.
That's what it's about. Well, I would say that most of the podmen probably are not Lord of the Ring aficionados.
Yeah.
Other than Gollum. Yeah. Everybody loves Gollum.
love me some Gollum, man.
Now, that would be a spinoff I would watch. Everybody loves Gollum. Yeah. That one
They
I
are
would watch.
making a Lord of the Rings video game. They're making a Lord of the Rings video game for next-gen consoles, so like Xbox X and PS5, which is a Gollum game where you get to play as Gollum. The whole game you're playing as Gollum.
You get to roll around in the mud.
I mean, I'm going to play it, but why?
Yeah,
I'll gladly play it.
This
But
is not
again-
2001. I mean, that was 20 years ago when all that crap came out. And it was good, but, I mean, the Hobbit movies was proof that it just doesn't hold up. I mean,
Well,
no one cares. I mean, that's
It'll probably be a stealth game.
Hold up,
Right.
hold up. Let's acknowledge Lord of the Rings is better than The Hobbit, and it's also Oscar-winning pictures. These aren't just
Correct.
this isn't shit.
I didn't say it was shit. I just said everybody's over it. And it's not going to, you can continue to remake this crap and come out with these sequels and TV shows and stuff. I just don't think it's going to catch on like it did. It's just, I think that was
Time
a
has
time.
passed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think time has passed and
Well,
people have
here's the
moved
thing.
on from it.
You've got a Lord of the Rings TV show on Amazon Prime coming out that's already been greenlit for a second season, and the first season had a $400 million budget.
Yeah, they're gonna be
And it's all
disappointed.
set. It's all set in the Second Age.
No wonder Bezos
Warner
is trying to get
Brothers-
off the planet.
And the Second Age, who the fuck knows what all that is? I mean, I don't know what the
I do.
Second Age is. Oh, God.
You know, Podman Ron, his view of the world is based only on what he can see.
I mean, I am the everyday man, okay?
Yeah, he
If
represents-
the everyday man don't know what the Second Age
Yeah.
coming of,
We could who knows what the first stage was?
of Gandalf the Grey,
That's why
no
you
one else is
watch
going to
the.
know.
But see, that's the thing is, I know it because I've read the books. The viewer will know it when they watch the show.
They ain't going to watch it.
That's
my
what
point.
Podman Ron saying. No one's going to watch it in the first place.
Well,
They're
I
like,
think we
what the
need
fuck
to.
is this?
We need to earmark this conversation for a later date.
All right.
Mark, let's earmark it.
All right. Consider it marked. Also, Brian, I think this is maybe where you were excited about in comic book news: Batman versus Big Booty, Big Bad Wolf.
Big Bad Wolf.
Fables continuation or alternate universe from the Fables comics of the 2000s. Is that when the Fables came out?
It's 20 years ago, so it started in
Okay.
2001.
Okay.
This is how they're doing the 20th anniversary. The book ended
By bringing
6
in
years
Batman.
ago. By bringing in Batman. That's right.
All right.
PMR, you are a fan of Fables, yes?
He
I
doesn't
never
know
read it.
about
Oh,
yeah.
you did.
No, I never.
Oh,
I,
God.
You know what? I take that back. I
PMR is
read.
reading. Do you think PMR is reading indie books? Are you kidding me?
No, I think I did
You read
read a few of
Preacher.
them.
Preacher's kind of was an indie book back in the day.
Oh, I love Preacher, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, Fables, it's our world. They all have to leave the Fable lands to come to Earth, to come basically to our world. But it's Snow White, it's Big Bad Wolf, it's Little Boy Blue. It's all it's basically ABC ripped it off with that Once Upon a Time TV show.
Yeah.
So Bill, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the creator's name. He was in talks with ABC to do the show, to do Fables on ABC, and it all fell apart. And they basically stole his idea, bastardized it, and made the Once Upon a Time TV show. So
Meh.
Cutthroat Hollywood.
Meh.
Meh. All right. Okay, so no. Were you a fan of Fables, Alex?
Meh.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well,
have you read it?
I've tried like once, and I was like, not for me. I'm not big into big mythological stuff. It's not my cup
I
of tea.
think I read the first book. I liked it,
Willingham.
but then the second one I didn't like. It just didn't appeal to me.
See, that's where it flips. The first
I think
book
the
was
first book was all about the Jacks, wasn't it? Like,
No. The first book was, and Jack is fantastic because he's every Jack you've ever heard of in any fable. So Jack the
Nimble, Jack the Beanstalk.
Jack Nimble, yeah, all that. And Jack had his own book, which was fantastic. But the first story arc is about Rose Red, and there's a murder, and Bigby, who's the big bad wolf, is a human. Like, he can convert into a wolf, but he's a human most of the time. And he's kind of like their John Constantine detective sort of person. So he's investigating the murder of Rose Red. But it was just a limited series of 6 issues. It was very popular, and they came back and made it a full series and just continued on the numbering. So they didn't do a new number 1. They said, okay, well, issue 6 was the end of the miniseries. Now we're doing issue 7 in a few months, and continued on. It's very good. The first storyline is honestly probably, in my mind, the weakest. So, because the mythology of it grows, and the canon of it grows, and how everything interconnects grows, and people die and stay dead, which is something you always appreciate, PMR.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I would
have to
check out
revisit
Fables.
Fables. Yeah, I may have to revisit Fables. For some reason, I think I've read one of them, and I cannot remember for the life of me which one it was. I thought it was the ones with the Jacks, though, so I don't know.
Jack of Fables, it's almost like a spinoff, like he dies in the comic, and then it's just like Loki. Here's your transition, Brad. He dies in the comic, and then suddenly he's like on this alternate. He's still in the universe, but nobody knows he's alive. Just like our premiere Loki. So,
wow. Segue.
All right. Well,
turn on that TV theme.
All right. In the TV world, the only thing to talk about is Loki. Everybody claims this is the biggest Marvel show on Disney Plus. Everybody loves it. First episode out. No one said anything bad about it so far. There's been a few Easter eggs to be pointed out there. Alex, I think you went on the record saying this would be the greatest show ever. How did it hold up for you?
I did say when the trailers first came out in December and we got our first major looks at Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision and this, I am on record of saying that this looked like the strongest show that Disney Plus would release. And I'm happy to say, after one episode comparing it to, I guess, the first initial episodes of both WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, this is the best. This is the strongest start for a Disney Plus show. This has a really cool thing. If I had to the pitch for it, I'd say it's like Doctor Who meets. If I had to give a pitch for Loki, it'd be like Doctor Who meets Chuck. It's really good.
That's pretty nice. I like that.
I think it's just a really strong show. Everyone kills it in the acting department. Everyone's putting on their A game, and I am so excited for next week's episode. I mean, this is by far and above the best production design, best acting, best writing of any Disney Plus show, and I am glad to say I called it. I am really happy to say
Absolute
that.
Alex absolutely loves it. The best of everything.
Did anybody think this wasn't going to be
me
the best one?
Yeah.
Brian, you did. You're on record saying Falcon. Yeah, you are.
I said I was most excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was most excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier because I felt like it had the most legs. It was the stuff we had not seen.
This sounds like a technicality.
Yeah, we'll have to go back to the tape on that if anybody wants to be brave enough.
Go back to the tape.
Listen.
I will go on record to say that I've never was excited about Loki because I've never really cared for the character, not even in the comic book. Didn't really care for him in the movie too much either. I mean, he was okay, but but when I saw the first trailer, it kind of interests me. And I even went on record to say that, I kind of like the idea of what Marvel does. It puts these characters that we would see in like Asgard and medieval stuff, and they take them out of that, and they put Thor in space, and they put Loki in this weird time traveling thing, and it makes it more interesting. So I kind of knew from the first couple of trailers, that it was going to be good. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. I mean, I was really
wow.
I enjoyed this really, and to me, Tom Hiddleston just blew it out of the park. I mean, he knocked a home run with it. I mean, he was really, really good. And, I enjoyed him as Loki before, but not as much as I did now. I guess because you solely saw it concentrated on him. And, I loved it. I thought it's an excellent show. It's by far the strongest of the three that's come out.
So, Brian, tell us a little bit about where does this all take place in the Marvel timeline of things? Because it's obviously, we talked about, again, great analogy there, Alex, with Doctor Who meets Chuck. It has some sort of time travel in it, and the time variant authority. All of it kind of takes place in this limbo type area. Brian, number one, is the time variant authority, is this created just for the TV show, or is this part of the Marvel lexicon in the first place from the comic books? And then where does this fit in the overall, watching Marvel stuff timeline?
Well, the TVA exists. PMR, I think, has mentioned this before. The TVA exists. Mark Grunwald created it in one of his stories. Was it in Fantastic Four?
Yeah, Fantastic Four. Yep.
And so they exist, and basically the reason why Marvel doesn't have a multiverse like DC does is they've got the Time Lords or the Time Monitors overseeing like the timeline, and they're saying, okay, this is the prime timeline. This is the way everything should happen. And they even so it's a linear timeline, and a variance will happen. And they actually even call it like pruning. They like prune that timeline to make sure that it doesn't diverge and create a multiverse. Because apparently there was a giant multiverse like cataclysm way back in the day. It starts at the end of the first Avengers movie or the third Avengers movie when Loki gets the Tesseract and blinks away. He blinks away to like Tibet or Siberia or somewhere. But and the TVA immediately shows up and snatches him and brings him in because at that point he's a variant, right? And so then we're really kind of dealing with Loki before he kind of started to have a change of heart and began to rebond with Thor and tried to be a hero to an extent in Infinity War, right? Beginning of Infinity War. So that's where we start, and that's where it's basically set. I mean, they're out of time now, but it starts in 2012. So
okay, all right. So this is when Loki was still a bad guy again, just right after the first Avengers movie, where they arrest him, and then I guess Avengers Endgame, or where they go back in time, and wackiness ensues, and Loki's able to get the Tesseract again. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. He even references that. He goes, "The people you should be after." He goes, "I'm a variant. Well, what did I do?" He goes, "The people you should be after is the Avengers. They were jumping all over time. Well, why aren't you arresting them? I'll go find them for you. I'll go kill them for you." And they're like, "Well, no, that was supposed to happen, but you weren't." So. Yeah, it's pretty funny. They quickly reference that to squash it. So,
gotcha. So they to your point, Brian, there's some main timeline. These guys are in charge of it, and Loki is screwing things up. What do we think the plans are for Loki? That Morpheus? What's Owen Wilson's
Mephisto.
name?
Morpheus.
Morpheus is a whatever, like a detective, so to speak, or something like that for the TVA.
He's more like a bureaucrat.
Okay.
That works in an office, and they're maintaining the timeline. So, like, they'll have SWAT teams that go out when there's a variance or something and try and squash it. And they've even got, like, the little things from Men in Black where they could wipe everybody's memory and reset the timeline where nobody remembers the variance. So,
gotcha.
So, yeah.
So he says, hey, Loki was going to go stand trial for his crime against time, so to speak. And Morpheus comes in and saves him and says he can figure out some way to use Loki, right? And then he says something like, I'm going to use you to find you, or something to that effect, right?
Yeah, so essentially you see a mysterious bad guy. You see that he's ambushing TVA SWAT teams and killing them all. You don't see him. It does show they're in like a Catholic church, in the past, who knows when, the
right
1600s or whatever. And there's a kid, and they're like, "Who did this?" And he points to a stained glass window, and it has like Satan on it. And he points. He says, "That's who did it." And so everybody's like, "Mephisto." Like somebody we all know that decided to shout out, "We got Dark Phoenix Saga."
Dark Phoenix Saga.
We got Dark Phoenix Saga. We got Mephisto. And so they've actually come out and said, "Hey, look, Mephisto is definitively not in this show.
Stop it.
We cannot stress enough. Mephisto is not in this show. That was just a coincidence because we filmed this thing 14 months ago before everybody went Mephisto nuts on Scarlet Witch and Vision." So, and then at the end of the episode, you see the big sort of, I guess, MacGuffin or a spoiler, not spoiler, like Easter egg is talking about a third age. A TVA team addresses an anomaly. They show up. It's in the past, and there's this spear sword type thing sticking in the ground. And they say that it's a what's the word? Anachronism, which means it's something that's out of place, right? It shouldn't belong in that timeline. It's from the future, so it's an anachronism from the year 3000, from the 30th millennium. And so that's everybody. It's all time. That's there. Evil Loki, or whoever it actually is hopping around in time. You don't know what his agenda is, but that's, people are saying, between the Time Authority and that being on the ground, this Kang is going to be our new Mephisto. This is where we're going to get the origin of Kang, and we already know Kang's going to show up in Quantumania. So. Right,
that's what I was about to ask. Kang has already been cast and everything, but I couldn't remember if he was going to be in Doctor Strange and what. But so Quantumania is where he will officially appear in, perhaps, or maybe not. Who knows, right?
Yeah, that's what they said he's cast for, but that could be a feign too. They could say he's cast for that, and he shows up in this, right?
Well, I would love to see a Kang sometime soon. If you got Avengers and time travel, you got to have Kang.
I will say, Brian is saying he a lot in reference to the cloaked figure, but I can not confirm, but highly theorize that it's probably actually a she and female Loki. Sophia DiMartino was spotted on set wearing a very Asgardian-looking outfit. So most likely what you're going to get by next episode is the reveal that it's a female Loki, which is something we've seen in the comics when Loki, I guess, died and was reborn, or he just took the shape. I don't remember, whatever it was. But I'm probably assuming that it's her underneath that hood, and that's going to be probably our big reveal, probably midway through next episode, or the opening, or maybe even the end. But it'll be something. But yeah,
how many episodes are we getting? Do you know? Do we know yet?
6. 6 episodes.
Oh wow! Okay,
they keep getting shorter.
Yeah, they do.
Did PMR? Did you read this about the other spoiler? When they're reading his file, it says that his gender is fluid.
Yeah, I've heard.
Was that shocking to anybody though? I mean, it's been shocking to Entertainment Weekly and everybody. But
I think
plus, who cares?
I think Loki Loki as a character has switched gender and age so many times. I don't think it really matters. It's cool. I mean, representation's cool and all. But yeah, this is something that's been happening for years. So yeah, this is the obvious move to make from a publicity standpoint and just from a character standpoint. Yeah, this is true and fine. Like, I'm fine with it. Who cares?
I would be more shocked if they said he wasn't. I'd be like, that they didn't think that out. You know, like it's if you asked, you know, what gender is Loki? I mean, you're gonna say fluid. Like it. So,
well, he's been
but there's
female,
people that are saying, well, it's an agenda. You know, again.
No. For once, it's not an agenda. That's the character. And they started. I cannot remember in the comic book. I know in mythology, I believe he's been fluid back and forth in mythology. But in the comic book, I know it's been. In the comic book, I think it's been like the past 10 or 15 years. He has. I mean, it hasn't been anything in the last 5 years to be, you know, some type of agenda. It's truly been like a long time in the comic book. He showed up as a female.
And I think in mythology, he also fucked a wolf.
Well,
so just putting that out there as well.
I think he fucked Lockjaw.
Oh. The reason they call him Lockjaw, I guess. Hey, speaking of which, are we not? Is no one going to address Owen Wilson's nose and how it looks like a sexual organism by itself?
Is it not getting worse over time? I swear to God, that was the most distracting thing. About the show,
could you not see a penis on his face?
Yeah, the right tip. And here's the thing: your nose never stops growing.
Yeah,
fun fact.
No shaming here, but yeah.
No, fun fact: your eyes never grow. From the time you're born to the time you die, your eyes never grow. But your nose never stops growing.
Yeah. And
so imagine when he turns 70.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be a big old mound of meat on his fucking face.
But also
on cock.
We're making fun of him, but give props. Owen Wilson's phenomenal. I can't say that word ever.
Phenomenal?
Yeah, whatever.
Phenomenal.
He's fantastic in this show. Like, really. He somehow...
I didn't know.
Kind of plays Owen Wilson.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but I couldn't think of a better person to cast in that part, and I think he's just doing a pretty great job.
He plays himself to a T.
Yeah.
It's the role he was born to play.
He's playing the best Owen Wilson he can.
Hey, but I think it's actually he has some dramatic nuance. To give him credit, I think we'll see a lot more from him. I think he's really good. I love them as like a comedic duo. I mean, it's really strong. I didn't know Tom Hiddleston was so funny, but man, they're pulling some good comedic chops here. Just to give him a little credit. We're making fun of his nose and all.
I love Owen Wilson in a Wes Anderson movie. No problem.
Well, let me just say this, that Owen Wilson has enough money that he can get the nose fixed, but it is his signature, so he probably is just going to keep it because everybody knows him because of the nose. So, I mean, think about it. Why would you not get that fixed? I mean,
Owen Wilson.
Chicks love it.
Hollywood's favorite dick face.
Are you kidding me? Chicks see that face and they get all hot and bothered.
Yeah,
I mean, why would you not? It's like Michael Strahan. Why would you not get that gap between your teeth fixed? Because that's his signature. I mean, everybody knows him by that. You know, same with Owen Wilson. He's got that big old fucked up nose. So,
hey now.
Wow.
I mean,
wow, that really hurts. I can't do it. Alex, can you do Owen Wilson?
Wow.
Wow, that's really interesting, Loki.
We both know you love to talk. Talky.
Well, you know, I don't know what y'all are doing, but God.
Ciao. Ka-chow.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
All right, so everybody loves Loki so far. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so far it's definitely knocked it out of the park on this one.
One other thing, I'll tell you the one thing I didn't like about the episode, and I guess because it's like, well, the Infinity Stones are yesterday's news. We use them as
literally
paperweights.
In the drawer.
Yeah, it was kind of...
No, I kind of like that because that was just them saying, you know what? We're done. No more Infinity Stones. These things are worthless. They're powerless. We're not going to keep going back to the Infinity Stones. It was like a closure on it. It was like a done. We're not going back there anymore. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the way they just kind of made a statement of We're done with
Yeah,
it.
at the
We're
same time,
moving
though,
on.
they basically, like, we just had 23 films that were all leading up to how powerful
Right.
these were, and they were just like,
Yeah, but what would happen if, all of a sudden he's able to use those? You know, it's like, oh, God, here we go again. Fucking Infinity Stones. Jesus
no,
Christ.
but I guess my point with it is we got to have a new MacGuffin, right? We got to have another Ark of the Covenant. We got to have something for everybody to chase. So what's the new one going to be, right? You know?
I don't know. But I can tell you what it is not going to be, Infinity Stones, because that's – but here's my thought on this whole episode. Did y'all notice the whole thing with Loki, what he's trying to do now?
Save his mommy?
No.
He's going to try to take over the TVA.
Right, because the TVA, yep, that's exactly it. So you can almost see Tom Hiddleston in his acting, Loki just think, so this is the most powerful thing. And all of a sudden it just dawned on him. So that's what he's going to try to do. Yeah,
wait, hold on. You lost me. What's the most powerful thing?
The TVA.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. Okay.
So now that's what he's going to try to take it over.
Right. So instead of him trying to manipulate today to make himself the king of Asgard and Midgard and the Nine Realms, he can trim and prune and divert history to his liking. He can control all of time.
And I also like the line where he was kind of made to see that, you're only around just to make these guys look good and do good.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I was like,
to make them stronger, to make them better heroes, which, it's like pulling back the curtain, right? I mean, that's the truth of his character, entirely. The only reason he exists is to make the Avengers look stronger in the comic books and everything. We didn't talk about D.B. Cooper. I thought that was
great.
That was kind of throwaway. I wasn't sure what to think about that.
I liked it. I thought it was funny that it was just a bet between him and Thor.
And Heimdall, yeah. Well, and I kind of like that because it took you back to before, because he and Thor are brothers. Like they did grow up together. So I kind of like.
My only thought with that was, and you know what? Now that I say it, I'm going to retract it, but because they didn't really come at odds with each other. It didn't seem until the first Thor movie. But he makes the line that he did that when he was younger. Well, younger for an Asgardian is not 40 years ago or 50 years ago. Yeah, that
might as well have been like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that was kind of a weird line for him to say it like that. But
sloppy writing.
I think the thing I like best is you've always seen those pictures of D.B. Cooper. The sketches, and he actually looks like Tom Hiddleston.
That was pretty funny. I thought it was a good way to do it. I liked it.
I think that is the best part. I know Brad's like, come on, can we just hurry the fuck up? But I think the best part about this show is that it's really just having fun. Like, it's having fun with the nonsense of the MCU, and it's not taking itself too seriously, but fitting enough in to where it's like, wow, they're just fucking going for it. They're not holding punches. They're not just fucking about. They're just telling a really good story and just having a lot of fun in the playground they're in. And I think that's just great. I'm so sold on this show, and I'm so fucking happy that this is as good as I thought it would be. Man, great job, guys, at the Loki writing team. I'm just gonna brag on you for a second.
I do like the fact that the way the set is, the way the TVA is. I like the fact that it doesn't look futuristic. It looks retro. It looks like a government office would look. Old shit, everything looks, it's modern, it's high tech, but it looks old and run down. And I thought that was kind of cool because it's a bureaucrat. It's kind of a government agency.
Well, it looks like Mad Men.
Kind of run down. Yeah, everything's run
60s.
down. Yeah, it's all run down retro stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it's not really run down. It's just old. It's new, but the sets are like from the 60s. Nothing's run down.
I don't Well, it's got that. Yeah,
It's got a '60s aesthetic, but
Yeah,
Why would it have
it's
a
like
60s
it's stuck in the
aesthetic,
'60s.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
No, just because it's cool to look at.
There
I mean,
you
that's
go.
basically
That's
it.
it. Shtick. Marvel doing their fucking shtick again.
Lord.
Their shtick. All right, well, it's good. So everybody loves it. Everybody loves Loki. Just like everybody loves Gollum. I'd watch that movie. I'd watch that spinoff. Everybody loves
Would
Loki.
you play the video game?
No.
Heck yeah.
Oh, all right.
So who do y'all, real quick, before we leave this, who do y'all think is going to be the Marvel guest star on this? Because they made mention that a big Marvel star will guest star.
Fuck it.
I mean, it could be anybody at any time. I mean, if he's hopping around the timeline.
I'll go for Korg.
Korg.
There you go. There's my guess.
I'll go for Scarlet Witch, and she'll, promote her movie that no one cares about.
See, I would say it's going to be Doctor Strange at the end, because the whole thing is the TVA is there to prevent anomalies and prevent another multiverse catastrophe. And Doctor Strange, it's the multiverse of madness. So whatever Loki does breaks the timeline into a multiverse of crazy shit, and Doctor Strange has got to come in and fix it in his movie. So the fact that there isn't a multiverse, and the name of his movie is the Multiverse of Madness.
Seems like something.
Yeah, so.
I'll say Thor.
All right.
I'll go on the record to say Thor.
Well, and I'd mentioned this in their text, but I do feel like this is kind of a throwaway to an extent, because they said Loki will not appear in any other this is it. Loki is not going to appear in any future MCU movies. So it's kind of like he's getting the Phil Coulson treatment.
I feel like I will go for
And
most conclusions, though. I think
they even showed
So Loki show is better though. That's the
Loki show's better.
Yeah.
But yeah, they even showed in this Coulson's death again, and they still never told Loki that Owen Wilson is sitting there browbeating Loki because he killed Coulson. About, what a dick. You killed Coulson. That's the whole reason the Avengers got together, is because you murdered this guy. Are you a murderer? But he didn't bother telling him, oh, by the way, Coulson survived. And
Well, did he?
had all these other
he was a life decoy.
We don't know if it's canon or not. We don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s canon anymore.
No, yeah. And honestly, I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it is
like
either.
Jeff Loeb. That ain't happening.
So,
All
it's
right.
Joss Whedon. So,
Can't mention his name. All right, so everybody loves Loki. We'll be tuning in. The only thing with your theory that I was going to say, Brian, with the multiverse and Doctor Strange is, again, similar to Scarlet Witch, where it's like, well, that's going to be a long play. You're going to forget about this TV show by the time the stupid movie comes out. So that's the, maybe, again, never question Marvel's wisdom, but it feels like that would be a long play there.
yeah, the flip side is, can they squeeze another season
Right.
of Loki out before
Exactly.
Doctor Strange comes
Yeah.
out? No. So the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Right, good, yeah. All right, very good. So I'm glad everybody loves it. Everybody's giving it a 5 and a PMR rating of a 1, right? Or a PMR of a 5
Yeah.
and binary of a 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, very good. Well, we do need to go take a trip to the streaming wheel real quick. Let's go to the movies. And I was the winner on the streaming wheel last week, watching Vampires versus the Bronx, a Netflix movie. And had anybody else seen that?
I have
No.
not.
I have not. All right, no one has. Well, you don't need to. Director Oz Rodriguez tried his best. It was sort of, it wasn't a bad movie by any means. I couldn't tell. Originally, I thought it was supposed to be more geared for a younger audience. And then I thought maybe not, and maybe it was. don't know. Maybe it was kind of the Stranger Things type audience because it was those, type of middle school, high school kids that had to defend the neighborhood from vampires in the Bronx. So it was my second week of watching, hey, look how great New York is. First it was King of Staten Island, and now it was the Bronx. Again, nothing necessarily wrong with the movie, but nothing new was introduced to it. A group of kids, they figure out that there's some vampires and they want to go kill them. And then this one person who's new to the neighborhood, you thought she was, or you were supposed to think that she was, going to be the victim of everything, but she was the head vampire. Surprise, surprise. Not necessarily fantastic special effects or blood and gore or anything. Again, I think that's why it was probably intended for a little bit younger audience. The only person that that was in it probably was Zoe Saldana. I had a problem with that. Phenomenal. And she was in it for maybe all of 2 minutes before she gets killed off.
Nice.
And I did notice that Lorne Michaels was one of the producers of it. So and I think maybe someone else, one of the kind of backup cast members of SNL, was in it as well. So no one you would have heard before. I was thinking it may have been a little bit like Attack of the Block. Alex, I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I have seen Attack the Block.
Okay. So I was thinking it would be a little bit like that. And it wasn't. So, yeah, I will give this, I'll give it I guess I got to give it a 1 on the PMR scale.
Wow.
I would say completely skip it.
Damn.
It was really forgettable. I did watch it. I think I watched it on Monday. So, yeah, by Thursday, I completely forgot it.
This is what the streaming wheel's for, because I probably would have watched that, but now I will not watch it. So
it just was, it was hard for me to watch it, not because it was a bad movie. It was just uninteresting. Didn't introduce anything new to me and all that. So I'll give it a 1. Have no desire to watch it again. And there you go.
Damn.
Yeah,
wow.
Sorry about
Damn.
But I did replace it on the streaming wheel. So who did I replace it with? Let's see here. I had to replace what's Madoogie as well, King of Staten Island, because we didn't do that last time. So I replaced them for, let's see, what do we got here? I replaced King of Staten Island with, and I had it on there twice or anything. The streaming wheel got all fucked up. So let me read to you what we got now. On Netflix, we have Grandmaster, martial arts movie, Red Dot. I think that's like thriller type movie, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
Someone picked that. I picked Free Fire. I'd never heard this movie before, but it's got a shit ton of people that you know and love in it, including Brie Larson. So, so there you go.
No and love.
Yeah, no, N-O.
Wow.
Frequently asked questions about time travel. King Arthur is still on HBO Max, I think. Underwater. It's Undersea. It's Kristen Stewart. Undersea.
Yeah,
aliens.
It came out right as theaters were shutting down.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah. The Lie. Now we've moved on to Amazon Prime. The Lie, Seven Chinese Brothers, and Saint Maud. That's who's all on the streaming wheel.
I feel like I put something on there that I put King of Staten Island, which we all enjoyed.
Yeah. All right, so let's see who is going to win this time, shall we?
God, I hope I don't win.
You don't want to watch a new movie, Alex?
No, I'm not in the mood to.
I prefer to pick things I actually want to watch.
We're trying to open, experience something new.
I still think we should have a separate wheel for Alex.
Just for Alex.
With 80s and 90s movies, so he gets the references.
No, I don't know if that'll help too much. All right, let's see what we got here.
Shitty 80s and 90s TV.
You'd be much better off, Alex. I'm doing you a favor.
All right, Alex, you've got something to be happy about. This is all Podmen.
That just made me happy.
Why, that does not make you happy, or it does make you happy?
It does not.
Well,
means we have to watch whatever turn happens.
Let's see what we're going to watch here, fellas. Come on, Seven Chinese Brothers. Nope, it looks like it's going to be... All right, it's fine. King Arthur on HBO Max. This is the retelling of the Arthurian legend by
Guy Ritchie.
Guy
Ritchie, thank you, yes.
With Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah.
I heard that was pretty good, actually. That's the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Well, there you go.
Was he the chronic masturbator?
No.
Oh.
He was the main star. But I heard this was like, it was dumb but good at the same time. It was like a good retelling of it.
Yeah,
If you're an idiot.
If you're an idiot. We should not expect a Kevin
good.
Costner type movie here.
It was dumb but good. It was a good retelling if you're an idiot.
Well, we will
You have
all
a
find
low
out.
IQ.
We will all find out next week.
At least it's action. So
Yeah, I mean, hey, again, that's the whole point, is to give us something to look at. What you looking at? All right, Brian, I see you added something on here onto the "What You Looking At" segment here. PMR, let's kick off with you. You said that you watched a documentary. I've never heard of this one. Tell us about it, Kid.
I have.
This was called Kid 90, and the reason I watched it, the synopsis was what they reeled me in with was this was the girl who played Punky Brewster, Soleil Moon Freye.
Soleil Moon Freye.
Yeah, she.
Yeah, I love the way that Brian just feels like he's just so fed up with you. Just say the word. It's Soleil. Yeah,
like Soleil is a everyday name,
It's
you know.
Soleil Moon Frye.
Whatever.
Brian has no tolerance for your tomfoolery.
Anyway, back in the 90s, when she was in the 80s, she was star of Punky Brewster. She was 7 years old. She got the role of Punky Brewster's and she played the role for about 4 or 5 years. And so in the 90s, she started being a teenager. She started hanging around with all these young upcoming stars, you know, from back then. And she would have video cameras. You know, you didn't have video cameras access like we do today on your phone, but she had a handheld video camera, and she'd take these little candid shots and do these diary writings. And she wrote everything in a diary and a journal. And when I saw the commercial to this, I thought it was going to be more about like the stars that she grew up with. Like, you know, they showed a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio, Charlie Sheen, Ryan Gosling, people like that. So I thought you were going to get to see these people, you know, during that time. But what it really kind of turned out to be was it was basically her story. And, you know, you would only see those clips. Every clip that you saw in the commercial of these people I just mentioned, that was pretty much the only clip you would see of them. And then you'd hear about, you know, her struggles and trying to navigate being a teenager in Hollywood. And, you know, when her star kind of fell a little bit, her trying to get a normal life going back again. And, you know, all her friends that she grew up with in Hollywood, all the troubles that they were having and drugs and, you know, but what I took away from this was
Doesn't it go into River Phoenix at some point?
Yeah, if it did, I don't remember that part.
Okay.
But I took away two things from this. One, she lost her virginity to Charlie Sheen. She was 17 years old. She was 17, and he was 29.
Wait,
You really take the important things out of TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's missed a huge important thing.
Yeah,
unless he mentions it now.
How old was
A couple
he?
of huge important things.
And
how old was he? Who was it? I'm
he
sorry.
was 20. Charlie Sheen.
Okay, all right.
Charlie Sheen. He was 29. She was 17 or 18, but
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure it was 17. And then the other thing is she left behind a lot of dead people. Like,
Wow.
all her friends either died of drug overdoses or they killed themselves. I mean, it was like you'd see a video
Look at a
of
womp
them.
womp.
Yeah,
That's
you'd
right.
see a video. You'd see a video of them. Yeah,
Thank you.
and then they were like,
Thank
and then
you.
he committed suicide or he had a drug overdose at age 25, you know, and, you know, and the saddest one, and I don't know if I know Alex would know who this is, but Jonathan
Probably
Brandis. Y'all remember Jonathan Brandis?
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
He was on Sequest.
Sequest, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
A handsome young fella.
they were like, he was sweet on her, and like they were like best friends. And he would say, he'd leave like messages, I'm in love with you, and blah blah this, and then he ended up taking his life. And so you had this sad segment of her going, there was things that he was saying that I never really realized because I was just wrapped up in myself so much. So it was like, oh my God, did he kill himself because of Punky Brewster? I mean, but this was like, there was like 5 or 6 people that she knew that all fucking killed themselves. I mean, or died of a drug overdose. So it was kind of a depressing documentary. I mean, it really was.
I would fucking think so. Jesus.
And not uplifting whatsoever.
You got 6 bodies like just trailing behind her. Yeah, I would call it depressing to say the most. It was a comedy.
Yeah, it really was. But like I said, it reeled me in thinking, one thing that I was going to get all these little inside stories and all these whole movies of these actors and stuff, and it was just.
And what you got was her losing her virginity to Charlie Sheen and 6 dead people.
And a bunch of sadness on her growing up. So.
And here's the thing you didn't get apparently, which is probably the most interesting thing of all.
Yeah, PMR doesn't pick up on the interesting things.
Well, he would have picked up on this. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if they blushed this topic at all, he would have picked up on it. So, you talked about Punky Brewster getting canceled. Do you know why Punky Brewster got canceled?
Because her boobs got too big.
Yeah,
she killed 6 people.
No,
actually, they did a segment on that. That was like at the beginning of the documentary. Like the first 30 minutes, they talk about her breast reduction and like how she got it done at like age 15 or 16 because her boobs had gotten so big.
So this is how bad it got. They canceled the show and then did a cartoon show because she was developing so quickly. The condition is called Gigantomastia, which literally means giant breasts. Like that's the Latin.
Yeah.
I've never been so uncomfortable on this podcast.
Big old bitties. That's what I call them.
Gigantomastia.
Nothing like three grown adult men talking about a boob problem.
It's just interesting.
It's just interesting, Alex. It's science.
It's just science, man.
At 15 years old, she was 5 foot 1 inches tall, and her breasts were 38 double Ds. She got the breast reduction. She got the breast reduction. She's just said this in the past couple of days. She got one of the reasons she got the breast reduction is because bullies started calling her Punky Boobster.
Of course, yeah.
I did want to, put this on my story and, market the podcast, but you know what? I don't even get it now.
Yeah, I think, maybe next episode, Alex.
I think I'm going to detach myself from.
Oh, no. I mean,
I don't blame you.
That's interesting. And that's in People Magazine. If People Magazine can talk about it, the Podman can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Alex.
Back in the day, in the documentary, it shows her going to the hospital. It shows, she's filming this. She's filming waking up and talking about it and talking to her dad. And her dad went with her. I mean, it was, and then it showed the People Magazine you're talking about, Brian, the cover about how she came out and talked about it back then, and she went on talk shows and stuff. So, yeah,
she going Dr. Oz?
No, Dr. Oz wasn't around back then, but no, she was actually just, it was an interesting documentary. It just wasn't exactly like, her life was not as interesting as you would think.
As you thought.
It was interesting that she knows these people, and it was kind of sad that these people were dying all around her, and she was trying to grow up during this time. But, she kind of, I don't know, it was kind of sad. But
all right. And where did you watch this sad documentary?
Hulu. It's on
Hulu. All right. Very good.
Watch this sad ass documentary.
Old Punky.
Good old Punky. Well, I'm glad
I've never felt so discouraged to watch anything I'm more discouraged to watch this than the thing Brad just gave a 1.
But I will say this. She turned out to be a hot lady back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
She's attractive
I don't
lady
reference
now.
you being my dad often, but this is the moment where I'm going to be dad.
I mean, A cups, but I mean, yeah, she'd look better if she had bigger boobs. I'll be honest.
All right.
So Alex talked about how sad it is. Think about this. The movie starts with a breast production and only gets sadder from there.
Yeah, it only gets worse from there.
God.
All right.
This podcast started off pretty PC and just got more sexist from there.
All right. Well, let's go into some happy news here. I've got some happy stuff for you. I'm not sure if
I feel like we should cut that whole last segment.
hey, we probably should, but you know me, I'm a lazy editor.
Wait a minute. Well, what? Pumpkin can talk about it. We can talk about it too.
We have 15 minutes.
It's a woman talking about her body and 3 50-year-old men talking about her body.
Hey, I'm not 50.
Yeah, Brian's still a youngster by all intents and purposes. All right, so I started watching stuff on Tubi. Has anybody watched stuff on Tubi yet?
I'm sorry. I've been on Tubi before.
You've been on Tubi before?
I've been on Tubi.
It's a gold
I
mine.
watched Tubi.
Do you?
It is a gold mine.
It is a
it's got all
gold mine
kinds
of
of stuff
things.
on there.
I've watched stuff on Samsung TV and Pluto TV.
Currently,
those
Currently,
type.
striptease is on.
What's that?
Striptease with Demi Moore. Striptease
well, there
is
you
on,
go. Well,
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is on.
Why is everything about sexy women now in this podcast?
because this is
just showing
we've gone into the
what's on,
Podmen After Dark portion of
After dark.
no. So I was
Nights.
Podmen Nights. I was aware of Tubi. I never really turned it on, but I did, and I couldn't turn it off. I just let the content flow. So Buck Rogers, Space 1999, the old Batman cartoons, including like the Batman Adventures with Batmite acting as comic relief there.
Really, I didn't know all that was.
They
on there,
have
to be
a
honest
shit
with you.
ton of stuff on there, as well as horribly bad movies that would never get distribution anywhere else, and other things.
It's the television stuff that's really what you're there for.
Yeah, totally.
The Dukes of Hazzard
Yeah.
movie is on there.
Yeah. You've got the original G.I. Joe Real American Hero series.
Transformers.
All the He-Man that we talked about. It's all on there. Transformers is all on there.
Yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised. Again, we'll turn on Pluto and stuff like that, and find a channel like MST3K, and those are on there. The Shout Factory, Asylum movies, and stuff like that. And there's some god awful movies, but like Brian said, the TV shows, they have all kinds of old black and white TV shows like Father Knows Best, and those type things that you're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And you watch it for 5 minutes, like, okay, I got to find something else. But still, the fact that they have it on there, it was pretty nice. So that was.
It's
what
almost
I was
like an
watching.
archive, like a repository or an archive.
They've got. I'm currently looking at it. They got Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah, they had some newer
So-
stuff. Yeah.
They've got Family Affair, Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, I didn't know they had all these TV shows, man.
Well, there you go. Thanks to the Podmen, now you do.
I do. Thank you,
Thank you,
Podman.
Podman.
They got Petticoat Junction.
No, but they got Dr. Ken, if anybody remembers that turd of a show
Oh.
with Ken Young.
Yeah.
Nope.
That was a short-lived one.
They got The Greatest American Hero, too.
Of
So there
course.
you go, folks.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
they've
I'm
got
working on
the
there.
hero.
The other thing that I did end up watching a little bit, was it on that? Or there were two things I watched off of it. I didn't get all the way through it, but I did watch the making of Batman Dead End, if you remember that from a while back, where it was a fan-made film, high-quality fan-made film of Batman versus Predator. Is that ring a bell with anybody?
I do remember it.
Yeah, and it had the most realistic Batman costume ever before the Batflick one came out. And it was fantastic. So it was about this guy, the director, I forgot, somebody Sheehan or somebody. It was kind of his.
Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brad, but Brian, they do have Petticoat Junction.
Yes.
Hot damn!
Yes. Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Is Uncle Joe still moving pretty slow?
Yeah. At the junction. There you go,
Petticoat
Alex.
Junction.
Alex, you got to watch all of those.
No.
But it was about this director's kind of rise and fall, that he made this fan film and everybody loved it, and he got cocky and turned down real scripts and stuff like that, and kind of isn't doing much nowadays. But it was a good documentary on that. And then I watched that episode of Buck Rogers. Shit, I forgot to write down the name of it, but it was a two-parter from season 1 where Buck just had to go in with this League of Assassins characters, and we had the fat guy who was the telepath, and the guy that wore the face mask that was deformed that could walk through walls. It was like every archetype. And then Frank Gorshin played the main, kingpin villain and everything. Ring a bell with anybody? Nobody. Well, no. I remember that two-part Buck Rogers.
The one episode that I have seared into my brain is the one with the space pirates. And they had the mental powers and they started undressing Wilma.
Maybe
why.
That may be part 2 on this. I don't know. Oh, speaking of, and I'll turn it over to you, Brian, in a little bit. Speaking of Wilma and Aaron Gray, for some reason, I was flipping around HBO Max, just put something on to relax into, right, at the end of the day. So I put on, I think it was Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Aaron Gray's in that. She plays the waitress in it, and she is more than a bit role. She's not the starring role, but she's in it. And I was like, wow. I was happy that she was actually still in movies, even though that's probably a good 30 years
late
old
90s.
Or whatever. Yeah.
That's going to be, it's probably...
It was in the
early
90s. Yeah, it was.
It's probably early 90s.
Because the one after that, of course, Jason X was my favorite one, Jason 10. But right after that, Jason Goes to Hell ends with the cliffhanger of Freddy's hand coming up out of the underground. So I think Jason versus Freddy was right after that. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see Aaron Gray working in the 90s. I'm like, wow. Other than comic book conventions, I didn't think she did anything. So that was good.
Well, man, bless her heart, she looked like a crazy Catwoman. So
yeah.
On that note, I wasn't going to do a review of this, but I watched Lizzie's story, or Lacey's story on Apple Plus, which is the new Stephen King series with Julianne Moore and Clive Owen.
Yep.
But there's a part where it shows their wedding, and guess who played her father? Another, I can't believe, is still working actor.
Who?
Peter Scolari.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I was like, who the hell is that? Because it's like her dad, and he gets up and he gives the speech, right? For their dance, and he's drunk, and I'm like, who is? And I had to stop and like IMDb it, and I was like, is that Peter Scolari? And sure as shit, it was.
Well,
to the point where it didn't even show up really. You had to really scroll down in IMDb to find it.
You had to really hunt for him.
Peter Scolari is still getting work in 2021.
Was it him or was it Rick Moranis that kind of dropped out? Or am I thinking of somebody else that completely dropped
Rick
out?
Moranis.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick Moranis.
All right.
But you know what? We talked about Peter Scolari a few weeks ago because
Scolari or Scolari?
Scolari.
Okay.
Because back in the day when Bosom Buddies, it was him and Tom Hanks in Bosom Buddies. Well, right after Bosom Buddies ended, Peter Scolari went on Newhart and had a big role on Newhart. And at the time, Tom Hanks really wasn't doing anything. So I always thought, oh, poor Tom Hanks. He's not as popular as Peter Scolari. Well, look what happened.
All right, we got 5 minutes here to talk about Sweet Tooth. Brian, hey, you watched Sweet Tooth?
Yeah, that's probably all I need.
Okay, good.
It's better than the comic.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because they've changed, like to you, what you said, Brad. They've changed the framing and the pacing of the show to where it's not just about Gus, who is nicknamed Sweet Tooth. It kind of hops around the universe and introduces you to other facets of the universe. Now, obviously, his story is the one that it spends most of the time on, but it kind of diverges and shows you this other character and what happened with her after the illness, the virus hit, and then it's almost kind of treating it like there's a little bit of like a vignette piece to it, and then it gets back into the story again. But it's very. I mean, it's very. It's the quality is film quality. I mean, it's. They didn't cut corners on this. It's pretty good.
They'll cancel it.
But it's going to get canceled. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
What's the audience here? Is it geared? Obviously it has a young actor in it, but is it geared for kids or is it adults or is it just sci-fi?
It's geared for kids.
In
the comic, the first or the second story arc revolves around like this guy who's got women trapped and he's using them as prostitutes in this house, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second episode of this. They stumble upon a family of 3 that's living in a lodge in Yosemite Park, and they have dinner together. So
okay.
So the TV show is TV-14. The book is mature, but it's probably best that it is because this is gonna. If this show gets a second season, and again, I said it's good. I enjoy it. If it gets canceled, I'm not going to be heartbroken, but it's good. It's good enough. The market should be, tween girls.
Oh, okay.
Tween girls, like, would be like, I'm drawing Sweet Tooth in the margin of my notebook. Like it should be. So, yeah. Yeah, it's good, but here's the thing. The production value of it's great. You can tell, and it's Warner Brothers. It's not a Netflix production. It's a Warner Brothers production that Netflix bought. So Warner Brothers really swung for the fences. Kudos to them.
Is it kudos or kodos? Sorry.
Kudos to them. But I don't think we're getting a season 2 of it either.
No.
So.
All right. And did they release all episodes at once?
Yeah,
but you've just watched one episode, or
I watched the first 2.
Oh, okay, all right. But will you continue it?
Yeah, I'll probably continue it.
All right. All right. Yeah,
I would give it a 4. I'd give it a 4.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll.
But
watch
I still think it's getting canceled. So.
Well, it's Netflix. They love to cancel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, did we talk about Jupiter's Legacy getting canceled?
Last week.
Yep. Yeah. You were you here last week? All right. We need to wrap things up here, guys, in the next 2 minutes here. Alex, any upcoming movies that you got on your plate? Anything that you want to be looking at for next week other than
In the Heights?
Yeah, In the Heights. There you go. Yeah. Have you watched that already?
In the Heights is my favorite musical of all time.
Wow.
I'm waiting to watch it with my mother this weekend.
Wait. Oh, you're saying it's your favorite musical of all time, but you haven't seen it yet?
I've seen it live. Like, I've actually seen the show, but I haven't seen the movie yet. But yeah, of course, I'm super excited for that. That's already out on HBO Max, I think. The Conjuring 3 is out. I saw that. That was pretty good.
Is it true that In the Heights is just a poor man's Rent?
Yes.
No.
Very true.
No. In the Heights
In
is
the bar
way
goes.
better than Rent. And the Heights is way better than Rent.
Is it true that it's just a poor man's Stomp, Alex?
No. In the Heights is also better than Stomp.
Better than Cats?
Yes.
Wow.
Much better than Cats. In the Heights is fantastic.
Better than Spamalot?
Definitely better than Spamalot. I actually hate Spamalot. So
wow,
it's not better than Grease. So,
I do highly recommend y'all watching The Heights for next week. It's
better than Annie.
Yeah, fuck Annie. God, I hate Annie. Just do me a favor and watch it. You won't be disappointed. It's just a really heartwarming show, story, everything. I feel like I should tell you I don't know you shit. You owe me
God.
I don't know you shit.
I don't owe you shit.
But I will say,
if I watch it, it won't be because of you, Alex.
It will be under duress.
Just wanted
it will be under duress.
I'm like a month late in saying all this, but I am currently on my second watch through of Invincible.
Okay.
5 out of 5. It's a great show. perfect cast, everything. It's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
right.
But yeah, watching The Heights, give it the love it deserves.
Well, I will say this.
On the streaming wheel, so if you ever get big, you can put it on the Heights on the streaming wheel. So there you go.
Well, there you go. Yeah, we'll force you to watch it if you after King Arthur. I will say that I saw In the Heights live, and I don't remember falling asleep. So there you go.
It's a really good show. It is.
I saw it
really
years.
That's
a long time
the
ago.
Brad Grant equivalent of Kevin Smith crying.
Pretty much. Me not falling asleep, especially in a fucking musical. Yeah.
It's a long musical too. I mean, it's not a short thing.
Yeah.
But the movie is, again, sitting at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean,
that means nothing, Alex. Rotten Tomatoes means nothing.
Yeah, but it's probably going to be an awards contender. So just watch it. Have a good time.
All right.
MODOK's got a 92, Alex.
Oh, well, it must have dropped after it released this morning.
After this
But
podcast.
It did sit at a 96 after First Critics' early reactions. So,
Okay, well.
you know.
I will
very
say this
excited.
quickly. I watched MODOK the first 2 episodes.
And
It is shit.
It is shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
yes.
There you go.
Well, you heard
I
it here
through
second.
3 episodes of that just to prove you wrong, Brian.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty damn bad.
So bad.
Someone needs to be fired over that.
I suffered through that shit. Thank you for joining the cause.
Well, it's Seth Green is like one of the producers.
Yeah,
He's been stoned the whole time he did it.
We've
so.
seen how Family Guy's turned out, so that's no surprise.
That's not Family
He
Guy.
doesn't do Family Guy. He does Robot Chicken.
Yeah, but he has to have written some Family Guy.
I'm sure he
No.
has.
You're thinking
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane.
No, but I'm sure Seth Green's on Family Guy. I'm sure he's written.
He done. He
So-
played the
Yeah,
song.
he's Chris. Yeah, he's Chris.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure
just a
he's
voice.
written. I'll look it up and I'll send
All
it
right.
in the chat.
Save
I'm sure
it.
Seth Green
Save it.
has written.
Save it, Alex. Save it. Not now.
Yeah,
Don't start a fight now.
I get it. Brad wants
All
to go
right.
to.
We will find out. We'll find out if Seth Green has ever written an episode of Family Guy. But until next time, Alex.
We'll save it for the podcast.